Hello friends, this is Devupriya and you are welcome to Nunia Sir's English classes. Today we'll complete last part of third chapter, that is drainage, from geography book of grade 9. And in this video we'll cover the topics lakes, role of rivers in the economy, and at last river pollution. So let's start with lakes. So lakes and we human beings are connected with lakes very deeply. We are having a deep connection with lakes, or we can say our survival is impossible without lakes. So, with that, imagine a situation of various tourist places like Nainital and Srinagar without lakes. What will happen? The center of attraction of tourists will not be there, natural beauty will not be there. So we can't imagine a situation of our life without lakes or without water. Lakes are very important in our life. So with that, lakes play a very important role in our life. Like tourist centers, they are a center of attraction for tourists. Tourists are coming from various countries to see the lakes. They are center of attraction for tourists. Next, they enhance natural beauty. They enhance the natural beauty, they increase the natural beauty of the place where they are present. Like the Nainital and Srinagar, we can see they are mainly known as lakes. They are having lakes, and we know lakes, they are center of attraction for tourists, and also they enhance natural beauty. Next, habitat for aquatic life. No doubt where the water will be there, so it is providing habitat for aquatic life. As we know, water, it is providing habitat for aquatic life. So the aquatic animals like frogs, fish, and also sometimes crocodile may be found in the lakes. So also it is providing habitat for aquatic life. Next, help to regulate the flow of a river. Now what is this? How a lake can regulate the flow of river, or how it can help to regulate the flow of a river. Imagine a situation, this is one river and flood is there. So the river, it is in very anger, it is flowing in very high speed. Now in front of river there comes a lake. So what the river will do, it will directly drain its water into the lake. So the water, it will be stored in the lake. Now next 2 points, they are connected with this point only, that the prevent flooding and supply water during dry season. As we know, the river, it was in anger, it was flowing with high speed as the flood was there. So it drained its water into this lake. So it prevent flooding, right? It stored the water in itself. Now how it supply water during dry season? So the water which was stored in the lake, we can supply that water to people during the dry season, during the summer season. Used for developing tidal power or the hydropower and electricity. Now the dams, they are not only constructed on the rivers, they are also constructed on lakes to generate electricity or the tidal power. And at last, they moderate the climate of the surrounding. Now this is also one important point, that how they moderate the climate of the surrounding. In summer, you may have seen that people, they are going near the water bodies. We can take example of Goa beach. People are going to Goa or the Goa beach to spend their summer holidays. Why? Because the temperature there is relatively less. So they moderate the climate of the surrounding. This is the whole concept of sea bridge and land bridge, which we have studied in our 6th, 7th and 8th class. Next, types of lakes. So as we have studied types of rivers like Himalayan rivers and peninsular rivers, so again there are types of lakes. India has many lakes. No doubt there are different type of lakes. They differ from each other in variety of ways, and all those lakes which are present, they differ from each other in many ways, in variety of ways. Like some lakes are permanent. How permanent? As we have studied in our Himalayan rivers, they are perennial, means they are throughout the year. Why? Because they are getting water. they are getting sufficient water to flow. So like that only, when many rivers they will come and they will drain their water into the lake, so it will have sufficient water throughout the year. And if rainfall will be good, it will store its water. So like that, some are permanent, some contain water only during rainy season. So we can correlate it with peninsular rivers, right? They are mainly having water during rainy season also, means they are dependent on rainfall only. So we can correlate this point with our Himalayan rivers and peninsular rivers. So we can say some are permanent, some are temporary, some are saltwater lakes. How saltwater lakes? Means the salt amount in that it is high. When the rivers they will come and they will drain the water into the lakes, if they will have large amount of salt in that, the lake also will be the saltwater lake. Now freshwater lakes are also there. The water it is fresh, it is getting renewed after the interval of time every year. So there are saltwater lakes, freshwater lakes, temporary lakes, and some are permanent. Now depending upon formation of lakes, there are glacier lakes, oxbow lakes, lagoon lakes, and at last inland drainage lakes. Now let's see them one by one. Glacier lakes. So these lakes are formed due to the action of glaciers and ice sheets. We can say with the movement of glaciers and ice sheets. Now suppose this is one ice sheet. When it will melt, it will go over the land, and with that it may cause erosional activity. So with that it will create one impoundment. So with the passage of time, this impoundment it will be filled with the snow melt. When the glaciers they will melt, they will fill this impoundment, they will fill this basin. So like this glacial lakes are formed. Now they are freshwater lakes. Why they are freshwater lakes? Sometimes they are filled with the rainfall. The impoundment or the basin which was dug, it is filled with the rainfall or with the rainwater, so it is fresh water. Now sometime also it is filled with snow melt, the melted snow, and the glaciers they are getting renewed every year. The snow is deposited and they are getting renewed every year. So the glacier lakes, they are freshwater lakes. The basin is dug out by glaciers. The glaciers they are forming the basin. They are digging out the basin or they are making the impoundment. And the impoundment which was dug out, it is filled with snow melt or by the rainfall. Examples are the Dal Lake, Bhimtal, Nainital, Loktak, etc. Now image is also given for the Dal Lake. You can see here mountains are there, and on the mountains, on the top of mountains, the white the thing is snow. So they are covered with snow, and this is the lake. Now same Bhimtal, Nainital, and Loktar, etc. are there. Wular Lake is the largest freshwater lake in India. This is image of Wular Lake, and it is largest freshwater lake in India. But it is a tectonic lake. Now what are tectonic lake? They are also one kind of lake only. In our second chapter, we have studied about theory of plate tectonics or about tectonic plates. Movement was also there, and we have studied the type of movement also. One was divergent movement. What is happening in that? The plates they are moving away from each other, and with that faulting is there. And mostly with the divergent boundary or by the divergent movement, rift valleys are created. Faulting is there. So the impoundment which is created by the divergent movement or by the tectonic plates, that is filled by rainfall or by the snow melt. So that is tectonic lake. So Wular Lake is the largest freshwater lake in India, but it is a tectonic lake. Similarly, there are meteoroid lakes also. Now millions of years ago, lakhs of years ago, the meteoroids, when they collided with Earth's surface, suppose this was Earth's surface, the meteoroid it come and it collided with Earth's surface. So an impoundment was created, and that impoundment it got filled by rainfall and snow melt. So like this, meteoroid lakes are also there. Example is Lonar Lake. So the glacier lakes, they are formed due to the action of glaciers and the ice sheets. They are freshwater lakes. The basin is dug out by glaciers, and that impoundment is filled by snow melt and rainfall. Example, the Dal Lake, Bhimtal, Nainital, Loktak, etc. Next, Vular Lake is the largest freshwater lake in India, but it is a tectonic lake. Similarly, there are meteoroid lakes also. An example we have taken Lunar Lake. Now next type, it is Oxbow lakes. Oxbow lakes, this we have studied earlier also. In third chapter only we studied in the topic of Himalayan and Peninsular rivers. So we'll revise it again. So due to turns and twists, and we know what are these turns and twists, they are meanders like this. These are meanders. So due to turns and twists, erosion and deposition along the sides of meanders. We know the river which is flowing, it is carrying small, fine and big particles with it. It may be sand, silts, small pebbles and stones. So with that, it is performing erosional activity, and it is also performing deposition activity along the sides of meanders, along the side of river. Now with that, in due course of time, the meander loop cuts off from the main river. Now in this also, this meander loop, it gets cut off from the main river. Why it get cut off from the main river? We studied that the flow of river, it differ time to time. Now this time it may be high flow in that. So this river, it changes path from this to this. So this meander loop, it get cut off from the main river, it get cut off from the source of water. So this formed cutoff lake, and that cutoff lake is known as Oxbow Lake. So this is Oxbow Lake. Next is lagoons. So another important type of lakes. Lagoons are also another important type of lake. Mostly lagoons are salt water lakes, means they are having large amount of salt in them, and also they are connected to sea. So sea, they are having salt amount in them. So mostly lagoons are salt water lakes which are connected to sea. Lagoons are a shallow body of water. Shallow body of water means they are not that much deep. The level of water is not high as compared in large bodies or sea and oceans. Lagoons are a shallow body of water separated from large water body. They are separated from large water body by barriers or reefs. In our second chapter, we have seen coral reefs. So lagoons are a shallow body of water which are separated from large water body. We can say the seas because they are connected to sea only, na? So they are the shallow body of water which are separated from large water body, mainly sea, by barriers or reefs, or we can say the coral reefs. Now see in the given image, suppose this is one sea. Now here the barrier islands and coral reefs are deposited, and over here this is lagoon. And this lagoon, it is separated from the large water body by the barrier islands or by the barriers and reefs, mainly the coral reefs. So like this lagoons are formed. Example of lagoons are Chilika Lake, Pulicat Lake and Koleru Lake. So Chilika Lake is the largest saltwater lake of India. This is image of Chilika Lake. Again this is image of Koleru Lake. Now let's plot them on map. So over here in Orissa part, Chilika Lake is there. Now in Andhra Pradesh side, Koleru Lake is there. And below it, Pulicat Lake is there. So you see, all these are connected to sea, Bay of Bengal. So lagoons, they are also another important type of lake. Mostly they are saltwater lake connected to sea. They are shallow body of water separated from large water body by coral reefs or barriers. Examples Chilika Lake, Pulicat Lake and Koleru Lake. Chilika Lake is the largest saltwater lake in India and it is present in Orissa. Next is inland drainage lakes. So they are formed due to the drainage of river water. Example is Sambar Lake. Suppose here one impoundment is created. So the rivers they will come and they will drain their water in this impoundment or the basin. So they will fill this impoundment with water, and like this inland drainage lakes are created, means with the drainage of water or with the drainage of water of lake. Example is Sambar Lake and this is image of Sambar Lake. They are sometimes seasonal. Why they are sometimes seasonal? The rivers they may not have sufficient water to drain into the lake. So the lake it will dry out, it will not have water. Or sometimes the rainfall may be not there and the water may also get evaporates. So they are sometimes seasonal. Most of the time they are saltwater lake. They are saltwater lake as the river they may have large amount of salt in them. So they are sometimes seasonal and most of the time they are saltwater lake. Now here most of the time is written, not every time. So most of the time they are saltwater lake. Apart from these natural lakes, there are lakes constructed by humans known as human-made or artificial lake. Now we human beings are also constructing lakes for our benefit, for our personal purpose. So the rivers which are constructed by human beings, which are constructed by us, they are known as human-made lakes or artificial lakes. This is also another kind of lake only, human-made or artificial lake. So as we know, lakes are playing a very important role in our life. Same as that, rivers are also playing a very important role in our life as well as in the economy. So rivers has been of fundamental importance throughout the human history. So throughout the human history, the rivers has been of fundamental importance. It is having a great importance in human history. Sources of natural resources. We know what are natural resources, and rivers they are the main or the important source of natural resources. Therefore, humans have settled near riverbanks since ancient time. So since ancient time, humans have settled near riverbanks. Humans were living near riverbanks in ancient time also. And these settlements have now become big cities. So can you name some cities? So we can say Allahabad, Agra and Delhi also. So all these are the cities which have converted from settlements, we can say the small settlements, into the big cities which now we are seeing in the present. So these settlements they have now become big cities, example like Delhi, Agra, Allahabad. Now importance of rivers. Rivers are used for irrigation, navigation, mainly we can say inland navigation, then hydropower generation. So irrigation, we are using water from rivers for irrigation, we are growing crops, we need water to grow crops. Next, inland navigation, we are transporting goods with the help of ships through the rivers to connect the countries or the states mainly. So used for inland navigation. Next, hydropower generation. As we are constructing dams on the rivers, so we are generating hydropower or the electricity. So the rivers they are playing a very important role in the economy as well as in the human life also. So they are very important. And the last topic but not the least, that is river pollution. So we and our dependence on water. We are human beings and dependence of human beings on water. This is the thing which make us to pollute the river water or the water of river. Water is required for variety of needs like domestic, we are washing clothes, making food, taking bath. Then municipal, here this is not used for municipal government, rather when they are working on a large setup, so they have to supply water to common people also. So they are supplying river water to common people to do their daily work. Next, industries are using water in their plants, not the crop plants, rather the plants which are in industries and in factories. They are cleaning the plants, they are making out the products out of the water. Next, the agricultural, we are growing the crops for our benefit and etc. So we are using water for variety of needs, and due to all this, rivers are being drained out. For our personal purpose, we are taking off for our personal purpose, we are taking the water away from the river, we are draining out the water from the river. Polluted by the heavy load of untreated sewage and industrial influence. Half of the water we are taking out from the rivers, and the rest of water we are polluting it by dumping the heavy loads of untreated sewage and by the industrial waste. So this affects the quality of water. No doubt, when we will pollute the water, it will affect the quality of water, and with that, it is also killing the self-cleansing capacity. What is this self-cleansing capacity? It is said that the rivers, up to some extent, they can clean their water by themselves. We know from ancient time, some of the pollution is there into the rivers, but up to some extent, they can afford it, they can clean their water by themselves. But we are polluting the rivers over the extent. How they will clean their water themselves, it is about their capacity. So we are affecting the quality of water, as well as we are taking away their self-cleansing capacity also. So we are polluting water, but there are some ways. Like concern over rising pollution in our rivers led to the launching of various action plans to clean the rivers. People are also aware that the rivers are in danger, the water is draining out, they are polluted. So they are taking some action plans to clean the rivers, like National River Conservation Plan, that is NRCP. First, the people, they were afraid of River Ganga when it was polluted. So they started the River Ganga Action Plan, but after some time it was stopped. Then the National River Conservation Plan, that is NRCP, was brought. Now the River Ganga Action Plan 2 and NRCP were working together, and up to some extent NRCP and Ganga Action Plan, they were successful. So like this, we are launching various action plans to clean the rivers. We are cleaning the river. And with this, we have completed our chapter. So hope you understood it very well. So like the video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe our channel. So thanks for watching. We'll meet soon with new videos. Till then, bye bye. Take care.